What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a new patch note on Infinite Magicraid, so we are going to talk about that, and there is 5 heroes that are getting a buff again. We are going to have Mutu, Soli, Will, Sana and Megan. So we are going to talk about all of these, but before I have to talk about my previous video. Yesterday I made that video talking about Raja, the 2 stars unit in the Elemental City and the Tower of Mark. He was really great and strong to deal damage through the shields, immortal and damage immunity of the targets. But apparently it wasn't intentional, so developers were really reactive and changed the hero. So I want to apologize for that because my video is obsolete now, because he is no longer providing the debuff of yesterday, the death in prison. Now he is only gonna apply an internal injury on enemies. So in fact now you can unlock the hero and use him as food because he's gonna be useless. And personally, that was a broken way to complete some boss stages in the Elemental City, but yeah, let's be honest, it was broken, right? So, this is cool if some of you had time to take advantage of that and clear some boss stages, but today it's not working anymore. Oh, and quickly before we talk about the patch note, I have to talk about Aptoide. If you are planning to spend in a game, make sure that you are using Aptoide. This is the equivalent of the Play Store and the App Store, but they have less fees and they are giving to you some cashback on every purchase you make in game. For example, if you are using Aptoide, you are going to save up to 16% of your money. In fact, you are going to spend less to obtain more items thanks to the cashback. And if you are using my promo code AhkTaar IMR5 as written on the screen between April 1st and April 12th, you are going to have a 5% extra cashback as well. So for example, if you are using Aptoide, let's say you want to buy a pack that costs 93 euros, you are going to get 15 euros in cashback without my promo code. And if you are both using Aptoide and my promo code AhkTaar IMR5 during that period, you are going to get 19 euros in cashback instead of 15. You can install Aptoide through the link I have in the description of my video. And if you want to know how to install and use Aptoide, you have a video in the description below as well, that one with that cover, and I explain everything to you inside of it. You can use Aptoide on Android or an emulator on your computer, an Android emulator such as MSI App Player. This is the one I'm using. You can download it through the link in the description as well. And during the week, for example, let's say if you want to buy one of these chests with a big blessing inside of it, the speed one for example, you can go with Aptoide in the shop. So you buy that pack for 93 euros. You get your 20 euros in cashback, and then you want to buy another pack for free, and there we go, you can use your credits, your cashback, to buy it directly for free. So make sure that if you want to spend in a game, you are using both Aptoide and my promo code during that period from April 1st to April 12th. This is also a way to support my channel, so thank you to everyone that is using my promo code. Okay, so let's concentrate on the patch note now. We have that banner coming this Friday. I already talked about it. You have Joni. This is clearly not a good hero, especially if you already have Ellie, because they are doing the same with the passive, protecting one hero with the highest attack in your team from taking 3 debuffs per turn. But that guy can be immune to some controls if he has the exclusive 3 or other debuffs without any exclusives. And after that, he is not gonna do anything more. He can increase the resistance of your heroes when he procs the immunity to a debuff, and that's cool because 50% resistance many times to your team, it might help in PvP in my opinion, but outside of that, don't expect to use the hero. Then you have Chardonnay, a great bleeder to enhance your bleed damage in the Wuthering Coast and mandatory for the Faction Abyss, the Forgottens. Then you have a Huff. Today he is great only in early and mid game if you want to push the dungeons until the stage 30 in the Dwarven Ruins or a bit more in the Faction Abyss. And he can be useful as well in the Tower of Mark. But in endgame, the only way to play the hero is in PvP. Thanks to the exclusive 3, he's gonna apply defense down and tenacity down on the target with the highest amount of attack at the beginning of the fight. And it can give you a big advantage if you are using some specific units such as Lydia, Tifia to deal the first attacks in the fight, and you get an extra turn if you kill the target under the hunt mark. And this can give you a big advantage during the fight. Then you have Grace, same comment as for Chardonnay. She is great for the Faction Abyss and the Wuthering Coast to power up your bleed damage. And she is a great support as well. She can apply a consolidation 2 on your heroes and heal a lot. So she is great as well for early mid-game dungeons. And then you have Bull, and mainly great in the Faction Abyss, but you can use him in the Tower of Mark only if you have the exclusive 3 and in dungeons versus Ifrit and Growlin. If you don't have the exclusive 3, don't expect to play the hero anywhere. He's gonna be really bad, so he really needs to have the exclusive 3 to shine. Then you have Thornail, one of the best epic hero we have in the game, a great support. Attack down 40% with the basic attack on a single target. Speed down 20%, he can shield, he can heal your heroes. Apply tenacity 60%, get some extra turn meta. That's a great hero. Isabelle is a direct damage dealer, but she is really bad today. And then Bizidon is still one of the best support we have for the epic category. He's gonna cleanse every buffs and debuffs on one of your hero, the one with the highest amount of attack in the team if you play in auto. He is gonna apply attack buff 50%, crit damage 60%, crit rate 50%, but also a defense down 60% on your hero, so be careful when you play him. He can give you a big advantage as well with his passive, because when a hero dies in front, he's gonna get 24% turn meta increase, so it can change the situation in PvP. And finally, Daisy, she's a good epic hero to nuke enemies. She's gonna get some turn meta increase for every attribute buff she's gonna get on herself, and she can increase the attack, the crit rate and crit damage of all your heroes and deal AoE damage, so that's a pretty cool epic hero. This Friday we are gonna have the double legend event, so for the first legendary hero you are gonna summon is gonna give you another one for free. It can occur only one time and the hero is not part of the banner. We are gonna have a new stage in campaign, the city of Samantha Badra, with 2 events asking us to clear some stages multiple times to obtain some excellent and miracle runes, and the spring event apparently from April 8th to April 15th, but we don't know more about that yet. They are gonna add the direct damage tag to the filter, so it's gonna be easier to find the hero you want if it's a direct damage dealer. Then they are gonna add a new season in the War of Thrones. We are gonna have a new dungeon effect for the season, and this is the current effect. So the more the auras you have and the more the stars you have, the more the stats you are gonna have during that season, and they are gonna change that effect. And I'm curious to know what is it gonna be in the future, because I was currently working on all my auras for that specific content, but apparently it's gonna change in a few days, so that's a bit sad. I hope that the next one is not gonna ask us to have many legendary echoes and have many stars on it, because this is gonna be really hard to have some, right? We are gonna have 3 new buffs for our lineups: Soul Bomb, Corroded Land, and Shrinking Light, and they are gonna remove the buff Rugged Tenacity for all lineups. So if I check, this is the buff they are gonna remove. Increases all allies damage resistance by 75%, and they are losing 5% every turn. But we are gonna have 3 other one, so it's gonna add more strategy to that content, and I love that. Because today you have some that are really funny and that are unlocking some strategies with some specific units. For example, the Sacrifice the Dead. I don't know if you are using that this way, but I have it on that team with my Jingle Bell, and there is my AhkTaar. This is the one in my team with the less amount of speed, and so at the beginning of the fight he is gonna die. He's gonna apply his buff on my strongest heroes. So my Jingle Bell is gonna have the buff of AhkTaar, and I'm gonna also have the buff that one 35% more damage on all my heroes, and my focus is getting some turn meta increase as well, because that hero is dying at the beginning of the fight, and so he gets a ton of turn meta increase, and he can give an extra turn directly to my hero. You have many combos to do this way, and this is really strong. And you have the same to counter this kind of effect, because if you are playing Bizidon in your team, then if the enemy has that buff, one hero is gonna die at the beginning of the wave, and so your Bizidon is gonna take some turn meta increase at the beginning of the fight. 24%, this is huge. And so I really love this kind of strategy, and I hope that the 3 new buffs we are gonna have are gonna add many more strategy to that content. They are gonna replace the boss, the ultimate boss we have in the Endless Cloister. It's not gonna be Ifrit anymore, but that time it's gonna be Marius evolved. So, generally in Love and Ruins, Marius is the hardest boss we have, So if Ifrit is unbeatable today, I wonder if Marius is gonna be doable. We are gonna check that when they are gonna replace the boss. For the blessings now, after this Thursday, when we are gonna try to equip one with the same attribute but with a higher value, it's not gonna cost any diamonds to replace it, and this is gonna be cool. We are gonna have more preset lineups from 60 to 80, and finally optimize the display of personal achievements in the Championship and War of Thrones interface. So now let's have a look to the heroes that are getting a buff. And Mutu is the first one. On the basic attack, 280% more attack damage on a single enemy, so this is great, and 15% more leech, so 30% in total. On the passive, he is gonna take 15% less damage when he is in human form, and he's gonna have 45% more damage when transformed. And this is huge, 45%. And when you have the exclusive one, you are gonna have both passives, so the damage reduction and the damage increase. On the ultimate, he's gonna have a 180% more attack damage to a single enemy and double the leech. And imagine the damage he's gonna release with that skill. 2 stages, so 1300% attack damage to a single enemy, but you also have a 65% more damage when you are transformed, right? So I really do want to try that. And on the exclusive 3, he's gonna now have more piercing rate as well, so the damage he's gonna have normally should be really strong. 2% more piercing rate for every layer of clothes he has, up to 40% piercing rate. So I don't know what you think about that, but in my opinion, this is a great buff. So now let's talk about Soli. So this is Soli, and at the beginning of the wave, he's gonna grant ally protection to the ally with the highest attack in the team. With every basic attack, he was giving some shield to that hero, but that time the shield is gonna be doubled, 20% of his max HP every time he's gonna use a basic attack. And the passive now, after the buff, is gonna reduce an extra 16% damage up to 40% in total for the ally with the highest attack in the team. And that's really strong, isn't it? I still don't know if we are gonna use the hero today, but who knows? And now let's talk about Will. On the basic attack, only 20% more defense damage on a single enemy, and if it is enhanced, only 40% more defense damage. This is really bad. On the first active skill, you have 90% more defense damage. If the skill is enhanced, 180% more defense damage. This is not a lot. On the ultimate, 210%, but you have 2 stages of damage, so that time it's gonna be better. But if the skill is enhanced, you are still gonna have the same increase, but with 3 stages. So I think that on the ultimate, it's gonna be a bit better. If you have the exclusive 3, 20% more chance not to consume any layer of softness, cut and rage. These are the layers he gets to enhance the skills, and every time he's gonna use a skill, normally he is using softness, cut or rage depending on the skills you are using. It's a bit better. So I don't think that you are gonna use the hero after the buff. And now let's talk about Sana. She has a great potential and I'm curious to see the buff. On the basic attack, 130% more attack damage on a single target, but you have 2 stages of damage. So for a basic attack, the damage are pretty interesting so far in my opinion. 560% attack damage on a single target. This is pretty cool, I think. On the first skill, she is getting a huge buff as well. 3 stages of damage, but before it was 180% attack damage, and now it's gonna be 330% per stage. So in total, 990% attack damage to a single enemy, and then she's gonna get a 40% crit damage bonus. But if I remember correctly, the crit damage bonus was given after the damage. So in fact, it's gonna be cool for the next attack. And you have another increase there from 45% crit damage increase to 60% if that skill lands a crit. So that's gonna be cool for the next attack as well. And now after the buff, she's gonna be faster to set up because every time she lands a crit, she is getting a buff up to 30 layers before and now up to 15 layers, but the effect is doubled. So you are gonna need 15 less crits to stack the maximum amount of buffs on her. You are gonna have 2% more speed and 2% more direct damage for every layer, up to 30% more speed and direct damage after 15 crits only. And it can stack really fast because on the ultimate you have 3 stages of damage on all enemies. So if you have 5 enemies in front, you are using that skill, and if you have 100% crit rate, you are gonna crit on everyone, you are gonna get the 15 layers directly after that. So after the first turn, she's gonna have a 30% more direct damage and speed, which is a lot. And the damage are gonna be increased as well, from 95% to 170% on every stage of attack. So before you had less than 300% attack damage with that skill on enemies, and now she's gonna inflict a 510% attack damage on all enemies and gains 40% crit damage instead of 30%. So in my opinion, she becomes interesting probably after the buff, and I want to try her. But sadly, I have no exclusive at all on her. I have so many heroes to try, so I don't know if I'm gonna spend my eyes on her. But who knows, maybe this weekend, if I am lucky, I'm gonna pull some copies of her. I say lucky, I don't care about the heroes I want, but if it is to try some new buffs, why not? So if I can get 1 copy or 2 of her during the summon this weekend, it would be cool. And then Megan is getting a buff, and I was waiting for that one because Megan has a huge potential. She can passively increase the crit rate of your heroes, and she doesn't require to have a high crit rate to crit on all enemies, and she had pretty nice damage so far, but with the buff maybe she is gonna be really strong. Now she's gonna have double the damage on the basic attack. This is a basic attack, and look at that, 660% attack damage on the basic attack. And remember that she doesn't need a high amount of crit to have the 100%. 80% chance to inflict inferior severe wound on the target instead of 30% before on the basic attack. This is so great. And if the attack lands a crit, 80% chance to inflict the severe wound for 2 turns instead. 80% less heals on the target, 80% chance. This is so strong on a basic attack only, so maybe she is gonna be the hero to use to kill Gwyneth, right? On the first skill, 3 stages of damage, 40% before per attack, and now 100%, so 300% attack damage to all enemies, and now double the chance to reduce the defense and the tenacity by 30%. 80% chance in total. This is a great buff. And on the ultimate, 1020% attack damage to a single enemy. So 300% more damage on the ultimate. And look at her passive. Every ally in your team are gonna get 12% more crit rate. She can get up to 50% more crit damage over time, but you are gonna need some exclusives if you are fighting against a boss to obtain the low layers. You are gonna get 1 layer every time she's gonna end a turn. On the ultimate, she can increase her own crit rate by 50%, so if you accumulate that with the 12% given by the passive, she's gonna have 62% crit rate in fact. So you need only to have 38% crit rate on her to have the 100%. And the ultimate is gonna ignore immortal and damage immunity, so maybe for PvP it's gonna be good. And if you have the exclusive one, every time she's gonna land a crit, she is gonna reduce the cooldown of that skill by 1 turn. And if you have the exclusive 3, you are gonna have between 70 and 120% more crit damage on the ultimate. And this is huge. So guys, that was all for the video. Let me know in the comment below what you think about the buffs we have on heroes coming this Thursday. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Have a nice day and see you in the next one. Bye bye.